right club. Be the right club today.
Johnny, that's better than most.
How about in?
That is better than most. Better than most.
Expect anything different?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the No Laying Up podcast preview of the PGA Championship edition. Solly here. DJ Pie is here.
Greetings. Hello.
TC is here.
Solly, great to be here.
Randy is calling in from Denver. Hello, Big Randy.
Hello, guys. Just beating up the listener line. Thank you for having me.
We are excited to preview a lot of stuff. I'm going to get right into this one with, we usually kind of give the website and the code at the end of a read. We're going to hit you with it right off the top. TravisMatthew.com. You go there today to order the perfect short and perfect polo, and you can use code NLU20 to get 20% off your first purchase. That's NLU20 at TravisMatthew.com on your order today. Listen, we don't hit the ball like the pros do, but we can look like them thanks to the fact that you can also wear shorts at tour events now, which remember when you couldn't do that? That was one of
Those were the good old days.
Dumbest rule ever.
Nobody died when they changed that rule.
John Rahm, Joel Damon, and Keegan Bradley are all rocking the Zenna. Travis Matthews' perfect polo on the course this week. They're comfortable, they're quick drying, they're versatile. It comes in 11 different colors. The guys are wearing the Beck, the Travis Matthews perfect short during the practice rounds. The Beck has enhanced stretch. It's a perfect blend of comfort and performance. So again, go to TravisMatthew.com today to order the perfect short and perfect polo. Use code NLU20 to get 20% off your first purchase. That's NLU20 at TravisMatthew.com on your order today. Also, quick congratulations and good luck to Sonny Skinner, who is 60 years old, might I add, who is playing in the PGA Championship this week. He's a Callaway staffer from Spring Hill Country Club in Georgia, and Brett Walker from Sunnybrook Country Club outside Philly. They're the two Callaway Club professionals that made it into the PGA Championship. How cool is that?
Hell yeah.
Sonny Skinner, great name.
Randy, will you apologize for not liking Beck?
No, Beck sucks. And also, they shouldn't let the pros wear shorts. Very disrespectful.
Oh, my God.
Those are two of your worst takes. In a career of bad takes, those are two of your worst.
Randy, let's start with you. What has got you excited about Kiowa this week?
A couple of things. First and foremost, I do not have many memories of 2012, Rory's win at Kiowa. And so in between then and now, we, of course, had the chance to play Kiowa during Tour Sauce Season 6. So I'm really excited to see the course, one that I've played, host a major championship now. It will be fun to, it's always kind of a thrill when a course that I've played personally hosts a major championship. I honestly don't think it's happened much. So very excited about that. And then the only other thing I'm excited about, Spieth, officially a contender. I don't think we don't have to pray for it. We don't have to want it. He's officially back, and it just makes golf more fun when he's in the mix.
Hey, man, I could sense some actual real excitement from you there. That got me excited. I like that. TC, what's got you excited?
I think the fact that I truly have no concept of what's going to happen. I think I don't feel like this place, maybe in true Pete Dye fashion, it doesn't really suit anybody. It doesn't really favor one style over another. I think, Rory won last time. Driving's important, but some of your models are spitting out driving accuracy is important. And then, having played there, I know the greens are relatively flat in spots. You've got the Paspalum green. So just very keen to see how it plays. And hopefully the wind gets going a little bit on Saturday, Sunday. Hopefully, up to 15-ish.
It's a little mysterious what the wind's going to do. It doesn't look like it's going to rage, but again, we're recording this on Monday. A lot can change in a forecast, if you will. DJ Pie, what's got you excited about the PGA Championship this week?
Always fun to hear Tron talking about your models. It kind of calls to mind the Hurricane spaghetti models. Like Solly's maybe he's got it spinning out towards Bermuda.
Solly hates the European model.
Yeah, it's weird. He's got Corey Connors is should be like 5-1. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But
I take the models and then just draw on the end of them also.
I was going to say wide bands right now, very wide bands.
So this is going to sound like, I'm placating or I'm doing a bit. What I'm honestly excited for is the CBS ESPN product this week. I'm excited to see what the TV partners bring. It's truly like I saw Jeff Shackelford had a newsletter this week that was how much coverage is too much coverage, which is a great question to be asking at this part of the week. I love missing on that side, missing high. I think we've got like 12 hours of coverage every day. The CBS folks obviously have been pushed forward, I think, with whether it's new production team, whether it's new contracts, all kinds of stuff. But we saw a lot of flashes of some really good stuff over the last, really over the West Coast swing through the Masters. And I'm excited to see what they do at a big major championship that's not, kind of hand-holding by Augusta National.
And a scenic one at that, too.
And a very, very scenic one. Should be a shitload of drone stuff. A lot of the, whatever it is, the Atlas cam, the Goodfellas cam, the Steady cam that they're following guys off the greens. I'm excited to see. I think it's going to be a great week to settle in and watch golf.
I'm excited to not feel like a kind of a nomad wandering around trying to figure out what this golf means. That's how I feel about pretty much every event from the Masters up to this new PGA Championship date. Not a lot of times none of the times do you get a lot of the top players in the world all on the golf course all at the same time. And we had that this week. That has me excited just because I think the golf's just been a little bit hard to get into since the Masters. Excited for this venue. The more, I kind of been apprehensive about the venue going into it. I don't think it's the most ideal venue to attend an event. Like as a fan, it seems like very difficult to get around and walk, but I'm not attending. So why do I care about that? I think it should present pretty well on TV. I don't think the golf is going to be that exciting. I think the most exciting golf we've documented many times is when the golf ball rolls a lot. Past Palm Grass, it rolls some, but it's not like a defining characteristic of this course that, you need to be coming in from this spot because you can't hold the green from this spot, blah, 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 because all of the greens have weird angles and difficulty for, a challenge presented to you to get up onto the playing surface.
Because they're all elevated.
Yeah, they're elevated and they sit different directions, and sometimes you can't even create a good angle from you because it's wide-ish, but not that wide. So do I think it's the most amazing golf course to watch tournament golf? Probably not, but I think at the same time it's going to create, it's going to be a good theater for it, a good setting.
One thing I think is cool, I totally agree, and I think one of my lasting memories of playing Kiwa will be walking off that stretch of 15, 16, 17, 18, just right into the teeth of the wind, and just feeling like, man, nobody needs to ever see me play this golf course. I don't need to be playing this golf course, but I'm really stoked to see the best players in the world play this golf course because I think that's who it's built for. And to your point, I think what's kind of interesting about it, and maybe you can say this about Pete Dye in general, is, I'm sure there'll be plenty of semi-misguided takes this week about, it's a links golf course. It's right by the sea. There's no trees out there. It's a, total links course. It's not. Obviously, it doesn't play, as you mentioned, Sally. The ground game is not really how you play that golf course. It's still you got to hit to the right segments of greens and all that stuff. But it is very unique. Like it's very, very different. Like it's wide open. The wind hammers the ball out there. You can't really run it up, but it feels like you could. I don't know. Unique is not always good, I guess. But I think in this case, I can't really compare it to too many different places, which I think, if nothing else is interesting.
Keeps you on your toes all day. It keeps you it's very technical, like any die, right? So I think like a hole that springs to mind for me is 9.
Yeah.
Like what you were saying, Solly, crazy, the way the green kind of slopes or angles away from you, and there's some very distinct ridges, and it really messes with your eye from the fairway.
That bunker looks, I don't know, I don't even know how you place where that little bunker is on 9 off the tee. From an aerial perspective, it's like, it's kind of right center of this fairway. It's pretty easy, but from the tee, it just does not look that way, and it's that on repeat, for 18 holes for these guys. And I will say it is a refreshing change of pace definitely from Bethpage. I've been adamant that I hated that setup, and I think the PGA Championship was kind of starting to turn into US Open light, and we just don't need 2 of those just because I think it rewards one kind of playing style. Harding Park was a little bit stepped down from Bethpage in that regard, but kind of still too much on the bomber and hack it out of the rough setup. There's not really rough on this golf course as far as I remember, or as far as I can tell.
Scrub and waist area. Yeah.
So there's a little bit more width to the fairways, yet the playability aspect of it is not that wide. Like you do not want to be off the planet on this golf course. It's not a hit it anywhere, bomb it anywhere, and go find it. Because if you're missing in some of these spots, you might not find the ball. It's going to be in just wasty area that's no fun at all to play out of. So I find that interesting. Looking at the data golf setup, it shows that this course is rewarding driving accuracy a little more than most PGA Tour courses, and the rest of them kind of really fit very well in terms of driving distance is always going to be an advantage, but it's not any more of an advantage at Kiawah than it is most other courses. But the guys getting the boost from them are the more accurate drivers: Corey Connors, Colin Morikawa, Abraham Answer. Niels Boy Ches, of course, getting a big boost from them. But that was interesting.
Ches
to me.
in the field?
We
don't know.
expect this storm to take a hard right towards the Isle of Wight. People in Charleston have nothing to worry about. That's what I'm saying. These models they're a little suspect when they're thrown out. Yeah, these guys are going to thrive out there. It's still a 7,800 yard golf course. It's going to be extremely long. So I had this pegged out for my kind of, I love going through and looking at who played well here last time. Can I read off the top 10 from the 2012 PGA Championship?
A lot of Europeans.
For your guys' models. Rory, -13, of course. That's got to be a great memory for him going into this week. Love that. David Lynn, no longer playing professional golf at -5, solo second. Keegan, Carl Pedersen, Ian Poulter, Justin Rose, -4.
Carl Pedersen.
Blake Adams, Jamie Donaldson, Peter Hansen, Steve Stricker at -3. Just a weird collection of guys.
That's a weird tournament.
Collection of guys up there. Blake Adams? Really?
Apparently. I don't really. It's so not when somebody wins by 8, a tournament ends up being really not memorable.
Yes.
And that's what I remember about Kiowa, unfortunately.
So I went back and looked at some of our footage from the day we played Kiowa. First of all, like you said, Deej, no desire to really go out and play myself, but yeah, I'm excited to watch the pros play it. And B, I just remember standing on that 17th tee, being like, yo, this has no fucking chance. This is I don't even need to hit this. I'm just going to go straight to the drop area. We were playing 40 or 50 yards up from where the pros are.
For the people who will be watching this week, Solly, could you lay out what happened to you and Neil on that 17th hole? Just so I need people to be able to picture this golf shot.
We're having a match, and there's nowhere to hit it. That's what's makes Kiowa interesting and not interesting in my mind. For pros, this makes sense. Here, pass this test. This is the shot. You got to go through it 4 times. Everyone's gonna have to do it. Here it is. But for amateurs, it's well, where do you bail? There's nowhere to bail. There's nowhere to hit it. And we both kind of tried to bail left. He hits the path and ends up on the 10th green. And I hit the same exact shot, doesn't hit the path, and just comes down in a dune, in a footprint. I make triple. He gets it up and down for par.
Which he has, I'm trying to get at, what, 70-yard shot?
It was 67 yards or something like that, yeah. It's a moonscape. It's a very weird place. We did a lot of history on Kiowa on our 1991 Ryder Cup deep dive podcast, if you want to go back and listen to that. But
for those that haven't listened.
Kuwaitis.
Yeah, for those that didn't listen, give us the quick bullet points.
Well, it was a golf course that was built for the 91 Ryder Cup. It was decided pretty late in the game that they were going to be moving the Ryder Cup from PGA West to this golf course on Kiowa Island that was not built yet. And, some work was done on it in 1989. Hurricane Hugo came, actually, while they were playing the Ryder Cup at the Belfry in 89, came and ravaged the east coast of the U.S., most, and particularly Charleston in that area. So basically the work that they had done had to be redone, and, waterways and marshland was reshaped because of that. There were snakes and stuff out there because of everything getting disturbed, and they had to race to finish it. And Alice Dye came up with the idea that they would need to raise the fairways about 6 feet, to get views of the ocean, and all of the environmental concerns that went into building this golf course, having to, restore some marshland, to take away 10, acres of marshland, and, destroying logging dams and working it through the night to get this thing ready for the Ryder Cup. And then for the Ryder Cup, it was a complete shit show. Guys couldn't break 80 in some events, some sessions.
And some were saying the environmental stuff, they kind of got crowned by the hurricane.
They got crowned a little bit because no one could get on or off the island. And there was, they were probably able to do some skullduggery was the word that I heard to prepare it. But it's a fascinating place. It's a unique history, and yeah, I'm excited to watch a little bit more. I've gotten more and more excited as the week goes along here to watch some championship.
I want to give a shout out also to the guy in the podcast that was walking around with the pistol, because there were so many snakes. I don't want to tell any spectators what to do out there this week, but a lot of snakes out there apparently, according to Solly's report.
So many snakes on this golf course.
I just never thought of taking a pistol to hunt snakes. Is that what you would?
It seems super effective, depending on.
You have a pretty good shot.
Yeah, I mean, if you're at pretty close range, though, I would think.
Yeah,
we can get into that on another podcast.
There's some good short to medium length par 4s out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's the one on the front, and there's the one kind of with that lake kind of front right of the green on the back as well.
It's not a brute. It's 7,800 yards, kind of shock and awe with that, but it doesn't play that long. It just there's not dog legs protected by trees, right, that require you to hit a drive to a certain part of the fairway or anything like that. Like the greens are all going to be accessible. It's just, I don't know. I did not, honestly, the length was not that big of an issue when we played it. Neil and I played it all the way back.
Well, I always find that really interesting too, because you're right. Like it is 7,800 yards, but explain why that is and what that has to do with the wind and different tees and all that kind of stuff. Just the way it's routed. And I think this is why, not to steal the point I just asked you to set up, but I think a lot of why people, say it's very link style is just the way it's routed, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty much straight out, straight back, at least that back nine.
It looks like an old school links golf course where, the clubhouse kind of sits in the middle and then you go out for 4 holes, actually heading east for 4 holes. Then the 5th hole kind of sits.
Which is where you feel like a rock star, just straight downwind, sending it.
It was into the wind for us. And then it was
the really cool. Is that the par 5?
No, 4's the long par 4, the last one that you're going straight.
Where you're going like the tree.
2 is
where Neil hit it
par
60 yards over the green.
Yeah. And then 5 kind of runs sideways, and then you go basically downwind for 7 straight holes. And, you go right by the clubhouse again, but you just keep going downwind, then you turn inland and come back into the wind for the last 5 holes. That's the way the wind's projected to blow for the most part for the first 3 days. And then it's going to be west-southwest is the projected wind for Sunday, which means it'll be pretty much flipped. So it's going to be,
entire stretch from like 6 through.
Yeah, they're going to play like 8 straight
14,
holes down into the wind, but the finish is going to be a lot easier coming downwind. So,
Randy, let me ask you, we talk about models, we talk about all these things, from a pure chaos, just shit your pants standpoint. I mean, have you been more excited for a major than this one? Could be absolute carnage.
Could be carnage. Yeah, you go back to maybe Shinnecock with the shenanigans that are always in play there. I truly hope, hearing about the wind forecast, that gets me excited.
It's not that strong. Don't get too excited. It's I've seen the way you react when the wind doesn't blow that much, and I just need you to be prepared for it to not blow that much.
However,
but the difficulty of the course isn't predicated just upon wind either, right?
It's a big factor, I'd say.
But also, 12-mile-an-hour wind right on the ocean is a lot different than 12-mile-an-hour wind at Oak Hill or, something like that.
And to at least have it flip, like I hope it does flip, because I think that's cool where the guys have to play it. You kind of get used to it over 3 days. And then if it did flip Sunday, I think that's a fun little variable. All of a sudden the course is going to play a lot different on Sunday. Count me in on that.
And they have the course actually tips out at like 8,300 yards. They would never set it at that, but because of these holes that go in opposite directions, each hole needs to have the option to be moved back if it's going to be playing downwind. So again, you're never going to see it tipping out all the way. Like a lot of the end of the wind holes, I'm sure they're going to move tees up some.
Cowards.
But like the 6th hole is a par 4 that kind of is at the corner, like the southeast corner. That one with the helping wind, I'm guessing they're going to go all the way back to about 530 is what I think Neil and I played it at. And it's going to play as a par 4. But then the next hole is number 7 is a par 5 that's going to be dead downwind and reachable. So between those two, it's like a par 9. And yeah, that's going to be an interesting little stretch to watch.
Not really a golf course architecture thing, but last thing I had in my notes, did you guys see the story about David Lynn reminiscing about feeding the Gators pizzas? During the week, and he would load up the pizzas with hot sauce and peppers to see how hot he could get them before the Gators would not eat them anymore. David Lynn seems like a casualty of the game of golf. It's a bummer he's not around. He had some absolute fiery takes. That was early Twitter days.
He played really well in the Masters one year too, didn't he?
I think so. I think he was a menace for like 18 months and then it kind of disappeared. So I would encourage everybody to look up that pizza story.
A couple notes before we get going. You mentioned the TV schedule here this week and how many hours they're showing. ESPN Plus on Thursday and Friday, starting at 7 a.m. all the way to 1 p.m. That does require subscriptions. So go ahead and get mad about that now and then pay it and watch it because it's actually a really, really good production. I love the ESPN production. It feels, I don't know why, for a major championship for me, hearing different voices just elevates the event so much for me. And not to twist this into, this isn't CBS's fault, but like once their personalities come on, it just kind of feels like a PGA Tour event again. And so I love, Sean McDonough. I assume Sean McDonough is on part of the call this week. Of course, Scott Van Pelt, who you'll hear later in this podcast episode. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, head over to our podcast feed and check that out as well. But I get amped up hearing those guys cover golf because it feels like they treat it like a very major championship.
Plus they're fresh.
Yeah.
Right?
They're bringing some energy.
Yeah.
And then so it's on ESPN Plus from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then ESPN from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. So we're watching 12 hours of golf on Thursday and Friday. Saturday and Sunday goes ESPN Plus from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. and then ESPN 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then CBS from 1 to 7 p.m.
Big balls in the air at 5 a.m. on ESPN Plus Mountain Time.
Well, I got an answer for that earlier question. What's too much golf on TV?
No, props to them, man. I mean, that's incredible. And I want to give a shout out to I think it was Deep Fried Egg on Twitter was reminiscing about the days where we couldn't watch golf because Charmed was on TNT. So
and then
shout out to all the Charmed fans out there.
Yeah.
We haven't mentioned Paspalum yet, I don't think. That's the grass type. You mentioned. You may have
Sticky.
It's very sticky stuff.
Yeah.
No grain in it. You're just going to hear it. I don't know what it is. Every time that there's a non-Bermuda or non-bent grass on a golf course, the announcers will say it very, very, very many times. So you'll hear that word a lot.
Randy, can you the Jacks Beach Muni, of course, Paspalum. Can you speak to what these guys should be doing around the greens on those closely mown areas?
I'd encourage everybody to reach for a wood. I would maybe put a hybrid in the bag this week if you don't carry one. I think that is the sporting play all week.
I think that also goes back to you got to get the ball close here. There's not a whole lot of mounds up on the greens to really feed it in. You got to hit good iron shots, and you got to be coming mostly from the fairway. It's a lot tougher to come out of that.
You got to be decisive.
Yeah, and I think there's a big difference between the 25 feet and a 10-footer, or there's a big or thinner margin for error because you can't feed it off as many mounds up on the greens. There's not as many collection areas. They're pretty flat.
And I think there's a lot of what we've seen in past PGA championships where you miss the green and it kind of rolls a foot off into the thick rough and you're kind of chopping it back onto the green. Not a lot of that out there. There's gonna be a lot of the ball running away from the hole. A lot of if you're going at the flag and miss, you can be foobarred pretty quickly. I'm excited, man. It's gonna be a good week.
I got something I know Big Randy's excited about. All waste areas, no rakes out there this week. What do you think about that?
We love it. I hope people get rubbed of the green. I hope it becomes a factor.
We're playing real golf this week.
Exactly.
They will be required to hit cups also.
We got a bunch of good Twitter questions. Going to get to as many as we can here. Eric Quiz 2096 asked, "What are the differences in the course and playing conditions this May versus August 2012?" Which we should look to make to the biggest difference. Who does that benefit / hurt? I got deep on the weather patterns of Kirkiwa Island for this. May is one of the drier months on the island and much, much less humid than it was in August. The wind is slightly stronger in May than August, but not the windiest season at Kiowa. The winter is the windiest time there. The wind direction is predominantly out of the south this year, which we are looking to have that easterly wind as mentioned, and then west there on the Sunday. So the south wind would actually give you a lot more crosswinds, and this is going to be more direct down and back, which I think is actually a little more interesting.
So it's kind of pre-thunderstorm season.
Yes.
I guess, right?
And then, so long story short, I don't see it making a big difference other than I think comfort level for all those attending and playing in it will be much, much, much better than it was in August, and less chance for weather delays, which there's none projected. There were some weather delays in 2012. It's just like you said, in August, that's storm season. So,
and with the less fans, it'll probably be more pleasant for the media as well, right? Not as much traffic with the media shuttle.
We will be doing a whole podcast, I believe, tomorrow coming out on the whole oral history of the media shuttle.
Porath had a great piece this week.
God, that was so good. Yeah, would encourage everybody to read that. Brendan Porath for Golf Digest.
So, yeah, I think the PGA moving to May is very fit for a site like this. And some of the other sites that they're going to, I would not say so. Oak Hill. And, yeah, that's going to be a little question mark.
That's going to be sick, honestly.
Bethpage was a question mark. Anything can happen in the Northeast in May. But, yeah, this is a great golf. This is one of the best times. The tourist index for Kiowa is we're in the 2-month period. This is the spring period, and then the fall period is actually October. So I looked that up as well.
This is the high season.
Yeah.
I want to isolate Randy's quote from earlier about the wind potentially switching on Monday and how you thought that would, quote, be cool to see a different look because it's setting up for a pre-crowning if 15 through 18 are playing downwind.
At least let him flip that on Sunday.
I just want to get ahead of that.
Let him get his
That's
flip-flop
bullshit.
in.
You can't. You've already dug yourself into a corner on that one.
Well, respectfully, we'll let it play out to see if there's a crowning.
Yeah, and we're just happy that
Respectfully, I forgot I said that.
they don't have to worry about losing the Paspalum greens.
That's true.
I'm just, if it's like other events, if the wind's over 5 miles per hour, I'm worried they're just going to drench the greens. Apparently, once it gets up to 7, baby, you better slow them down.
These are bad.
You guys were asking too, like what the other stuff you're excited about. I forgot to give a shout out to Omar Uresti. Obviously earned his way in, playing against the rest of his fellow club pros, teaching pros, all that, and he'll be in the field slowing things down.
I hope that
This is very much a TC. I cede my time on Omar Uresti. But one more thing about Omar Uresti.
I hope they get the shop covered while he's away this week.
Well, he's got no hope this week because there's no trees out there. He can't play into the shade like he was doing at Quail Hollow. I've never seen a man sweat that much on a golf course. I legit think he was starting to aim for shaded areas on the golf course.
That's a heady play.
Let's talk about some players, should we? We got all amped up talking about Kiowa. First guy we got to talk about, of course. Question comes from Ethan Payne Bees on Twitter. If Spieth continues to be a strokes gained tee to green machine, what's stopping him from being in contention at this course? I know distance is a factor, but it seems like course fit doesn't mean as much if someone is coming in rolling.
I just worry about start lines with him. Where to start it and having because there's a few holes, especially on that front 9, where you gotta it's a very arbitrary. You're picking out there's not a whole lot on the horizon or in the distance. And so it's tough to get something to aim off of. That was what I remember struggling with a lot out there. And I feel like guys that have maybe fought the driver here recently that, potentially have a two-way miss, it's tough to commit to a certain line, especially on some of those long par 4s.
I found it interesting that our data golf friends actually knocked Spieth a little bit because of the course fit, and because of this course, rewarding driving accuracy maybe a little more than others. He actually gets dinged a little bit because of his lack of accuracy off the tee, for lack of a better phrase. But I wonder too how much of that is kind of lagging data on him not playing nearly as good a golf as he has played in recent months. But they're giving boost to guys like I said, like Corey Connors, Morikawa, Abe Ancer, and Keegan Bradley were the guys that stuck out the most. But if we're talking about Spieth, I think PGA Championship chances are much better on something like this than a Bethpage. Even though I know he finished third at Bethpage, that was the Band-Aid major, if I remember that right. He was making everything he looked at. I like it on a golf course that's. I hate calling courses a second shot course, but if this is more second shot related than I think some of those, like a Bethpage would be. So it's going to be somebody that mashes irons, gets a ball in play and mashes irons this week that is going to win this tournament. And I like his chances in that regard.
Listen, yeah, of course. You're not going to argue with any of that. I think it's. I'm with you. I think if he's going to win a PGA, this feels like a pretty good one. Would love to get a list going of third shot golf courses. Maybe we can take that offline.
The
old course, maybe.
That's Randy's dream.
This could be a third shot course too, because there's people are going to miss a lot of greens, and then it's going to roll away. So there's going to be a lot of chipping. Pinehurst might be a third shot golf course.
Total third shot golf course.
Yeah, you got to putt and chip a lot around those greens. Anything else to add on Spieth?
Oh, he's the best. He's for sure gonna win, but other person might win.
Rory from JACINCM on Twitter. Does Rory commit to the fade, or does he go back to the draw after a disastrous round 1?
I'm ceding my time on Rory
for the next 15 seconds until somebody. So this is a great golf course for Rory to stick to the fade, I think, because there's no holes that are forcing you with trees off the tee. That's why this would be a good DJ golf course too, because he hits a cut on every hole. But there's some holes like at Wells Fargo at Quail Hollow. I know he won, but it's like, all right, dude, I kind of want to draw this driver.
You're just itching to hit the draw.
Yeah. And Kiowa, of course, you do want to shape it a certain way, but not having trees decide what shot shape you have to hit is an advantage for somebody that wants to hit a ball one way the whole week.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't watch a ton of. It's funny how this happens when you take weeks off or whatever. I didn't watch a ton of Quail Hollow, so that's almost like a total just blind spot in my mind where I'm still going off of Rory's been sucky lately, man. I don't know, I don't see it. I'm like, I guess he just won. Yeah, I don't know. Totally make of that what you will. But listen, he won by 8 last time. I got to think that's gonna. He's coming off a victory and he won here by 8 last time. So.
What year was that?
2012.
12?
Yeah.
And then where did that fall in his chronology of majors?
That was his second. So he won 2011 Congressional by 8 shots. Then he won Kiowa by 8 shots. and then he won 2014 at Hoylake, and then he won at Valhalla back-to-back.
So this was really his first major win.
Right, congressional doesn't count, of course. DJ from Sam Hick 600-72515. Got to work on the handle, bud. But is this the week Dustin Johnson breaks out of his slump?
What's the deal? Is he hurt? Is he injured? Was he just resting because he didn't want to go to Dallas?
Why did he? Big explanation, right? On Twitter and stuff. Just a really
So over the top.
long explanation about the salesmanship club, and I love Dallas, and that was very not
He
DJ.
gave a shout out to Dak Prescott and Luka.
Well, probably the video of him jumping off the boat, doing a backflip off the boat, and then withdrawing with a knee injury probably just didn't look great. But
Sure.
not the first week this year that he has withdrawn basically a week of a tournament. And it's not good energy around DJ right now. His odds were pretty far down the sheet. We're going to get to our picks here shortly, but he is, there's some good value to be had on him, but I'm staying away. This is a total stay away in my book.
This is such a hedge, and of course I'm trying to have it both ways, but he is that guy where you say that, and then he could go he could win by 8 this week.
And then he went by 8, and you're like, of course he won by 8.
Exactly. And that's where it's just, I don't know. It almost feels like he needs to, he'll decide when he wants to flip it back on, and when he does, he'll be back. It's kind of like the Spieth thing from, I guess it's been like a year now, but where it's kind of like, yeah, listen, man, if you want to stay away, that's fine. But if you don't think he's, I think he's probably going to come back at some point. So the betting, it's just, I have no idea. I don't know. It's a total coin flip.
He's on low energy mode right now.
Yes. Yeah. Low power mode. Yeah. Exactly.
But he missed the cut at the Masters right after winning it, right? Like something's not right. I just need to see a sign from him before I'm buying anything leading into a major. It's not like he's saved up for the major or anything like that. He's not played good golf in 3 months now. So color me concerned. Anyone else you guys want to talk about before we get into picks, bets, anything?
I want to talk about Xander's odds.
Okay.
Because it's Rory at plus 1150, Rahm at 1450, JT at 1450, Spieth at 1500, Bryson at 1650, Xander at 1700. And Xander's ahead of Dustin, Hovland, Berger. Morikawa's 30-1, Hideki's 35-1. Big Tone's 40-1. Cantlay's 45-1.
He gave up on the American odds halfway through that. He couldn't.
Oh, yeah. I hate American odds. But yeah, it's like he's right there neck and neck with Bryson, right? I mean, they're treating him like he is a top 3, top 4 bona fide player in the world, and the rankings obviously agree with that. But I just think it's kind of interesting to see him neck and neck with JT, Spieth, Bryson, ducks in a row.
I mean, his major record,
great.
It shows that, right? And his, all the data on his strokes gained and everything shows that he is that player. He gets knocked a lot for not having won one of these, but that is not necessarily indicative of his chances of actually doing it. I mean, he's got 6 top 5 finishes in 15 majors he's played in. So
he's got to be hungry as shit after the way the Masters ended too.
So
maybe they're factoring that into the model.
But like Rahm's a guy. I have no idea what to do with Rahm.
I just feel like we need to. What's that?
No, sorry, I don't want to give away, but I would say just pick him not to win.
You want to do that now? You want to do our picks not to win?
No, I mean, whatever.
But before we do that, one more bit of positivity. You mentioned him very briefly, TC, and he will not really be showing up in my picks for reasons I can get into. But I still feel like Hovland hasn't really gotten his due for how fucking good he's been playing. It's been unbelievable. T3, I think, in his last 2 starts, he has the same odds as Dustin Johnson going into the PGA Championship. Like, that's wild. If you would have told us that a year ago, 2 years ago, that would have been shocking. So that I think he's missed like 1 cut since the pandemic started. I mean, he's just been incredibly, incredibly solid. So he's another guy. Like, if you're, I feel like these majors are all, it's such a crapshoot among the horses, right? It's picking guys who has the best chance of being up there, and maybe it goes their way, maybe it doesn't. And Hovland seems like, he's going to be around 15th, top 15, top 20 for sure. And so it's just, I wanted to mention that because I don't think we've talked about him enough.
We didn't talk about JT at all, which the question we got as well from Tyler Caven. Is JT coming in under the radar? Feels like there hasn't been a whole lot of talk about him lately. Might be a sneaky good pick.
There's too many horses.
I know. I can't disagree with that. We haven't talked.
There's no parity.
We haven't talked Bryson at all.
Too many guys.
Nick Boone 5 said, "Are we secretly pulling for Bryson? Did not record a single birdie at Kiowa and lose the DraftKings prop," which we'll get to in a second.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
No, there's a promo going on here. We'll get to that here in a second, but.
I think there's a lot of like middle of the road guys that like a Zalatoris, a Sungjae, a Cam Smith. I'm really keen to see who kind of emerges from that, 40-1 to 75, 80-1.
Which I think this makes it a good golf course for majors, right? That we, there's certain ones you can, put these guys right here and say, I know they're going to be there for the most part, and that comes true. And this is not one of them. Like it's hard to cover everyone that's going to. We probably haven't said the name of the winner of the tournament yet, which would be very interesting. I'm sure we did that with the Masters. We did not talk about Hideki leading into the Masters. So instead of trying to cover them all, why don't we get into our picks? Who is not going to win the DJ Pie /Solly /Big Randy Memorial? We always pick somebody that is close to one of the top guys on the odds sheet as who will not win the tournament. And the goal is to fly as close to the sun as possible on picking this guy. And I'm ready for your guys' picks. Randy, start with you.
Well, yeah, I tipped my hand a little bit. Obviously John Rahm, and then the two automatics. Good to see Ricky get an invite this week.
That had to be cool for you.
Yes, exactly. And then Finau. Come on. It is nice to see Finau's odds start to drop. He's, I think, down at 40-1. All right, if you want to apologize for that, Solly, anytime. DJ and I will have.
I listened to the recap. I didn't hear you guys talk much about him missing the cut at Wells Fargo. Seems like such a perfect golf course for him.
Not concerned.
Maybe a little too perfect.
You don't get to talk about when he misses the cut, right? Because a second place and a missed cut is equal in your guys' mind. So you don't get to cover. You don't get to do that. It's
not
either
only
win or lose.
It's history's mind as well.
It's just win or lose. That's all that matters.
Nobody talking about David Lynn this week. That's all I'm saying.
All that matters.
Randy, is Rory automatically considered as a can't win in your book because he's not alive?
That's a great question. Not necessarily. We might, guys. I hate to say it, we might be on a sort of a zombie apocalypse.
I was going to ask if there's any breakthrough science, on the horizon, possibly. Any Lazarus drugs coming out this week?
I think Rory might be Walking Dead here sooner than later.
Ted Williams.
Ted Williams
is coming out of the freezer.
The splinter.
The big splitter.
All right, TC, who's not going to win?
Am I the only one throwing a perfect game on the can't win?
You and Neil somehow.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm going to say Bryson. I say Bryson all the time.
I'll join you too.
I had that as well.
Okay.
So let's get out ahead of it.
It's more just like, I just want to root for Bryson not to win.
It just seems like a lot. It seems like a lot going on this week for a Bryson golf course. I say that he finished third at the Players or something,
right?
Another Pete Dye golf course, but yeah, it just feels like
doesn't seem to be there right now.
It
for
feels
Bryson.
like a lot. Yeah.
So he'll win by 6. Well, all right. Before we get into picks here, No Laying Up is of course brought to you by our friends at the DraftKings Sportsbook. You can get 100-1 odds on Bryson DeChambeau recording at least one birdie this weekend. You heard me correct. That turned $1 into $100 in free credits if Bryson has a birdie this weekend. DraftKings has brought their expertise to legal sports betting. It's a legitimate sports book based right here in the U.S., so you can rest assured your funds are totally secure. DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is safe, secure, and reliable. Deposit and withdraw your money at your convenience. So head to the app right now and check out all they have to offer, including player props, live betting, and a lot more. And if the sportsbook is not available in your state yet, don't forget about the DraftKings Fantasy app. They're offering a shot at $1 million top prize for this weekend's major. They've also got these really fun championship series we've been talking about where they're minting 100 millionaires in this 21-22 season. In order to have a shot at $1 million, you need to win a qualifier contest, and the championship final contests are actually in person all over the country. It's pretty fun. So download the top-rated sportsbook app now. Use code NLU when you sign up. For a limited time, all new users have a shot at turning $1 into $100 in free bets if Bryson DeChambeau sinks at least one birdie this weekend. Enter code NLU when you sign up to get on the action. Only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania. Only bonus paid out in 4 $25 free bets. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for detailed gambling problem. Call 1-800-GAMBLER in Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
We rocked them, baby.
Great stuff,
Killed 'em,
man.
baby.
Great stuff.
I had so much fun doing the pools during the
Yes.
Masters.
I was concerned with how much fun I had doing that. But why don't
Did
we
you guys tweet at your guys after they
Yes.
missed
Yeah.
the cut?
Yeah.
Oh, you fucked up my team.
That's why Faldo blocked me. I picked him to win.
I told
Matthew
Maddie.
Faldo or Dick Faldo?
I told Maddie and Leash I'm never talking to him again.
Yeah, you messed up my team.
Why don't we send it to Neil first for his picks, and we'll be back shortly to round out ours.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. The Beluga coming to you live from an undisclosed location. He is in the pouch. He is honoring the Draft King himself, TC, with the middle part from the infamous portrait of my youth. Tough scene. We're getting out of the pouch this week. 20 nuggies, or 200 nuggies, excuse me. 5 plays, count them, 5 plays. Excited about Major Week. First up, Keegan Bradley, top 20, plus 225. I'm not proud of that bet, but a man that came in T3 9 years ago, feels like a horse for the course. Let's go, Keegan. Top 20, Tommy Ladd. That bet hit 2 weeks ago. We're going back to the well, plus 225. We got 40 nuggies on Keegan. We got 40 nuggies on Tommy Ladd. Next up, Bryson DeChambeau to miss the cut, plus 300. 30 nuggies there. God, I would love some Timmy. What is happening? I don't know what to do. I think we're going to see that in the wind. Excited about that. Will Zalatoris, top 20, 60 nuggies, plus 150. Is it a pouch dodge? Maybe. The guy's been hot. Come on. The guy's got to get out of the pouch. Let's go. And then last but not least, 30 nuggies to win. Daniel Berger, plus 3,000. He's hot. The Beluga got an inside tip. He's excited about that one. Let's go launch him at Kiowa. Back to you, fuckboys.
All right, who wants to start on our end? Randy, why don't we go to you?
Listen, we have 5 picks as always this week. I'm excited about this. I'm excited. Let's start. I have 2 parlays and then 3 regular bets. So let's start with the regular bets. I have love Cam Smith this week. The mangy dog, a slight home game reading, being close there in Jacksonville, Florida.
Coming off a win at Streamsong.
Coming off a win at Streamsong, very familiar with Paspalum, just like they have at Jack's Beach. I'm taking him 20 nuggies to win at plus 46.50.
I love that. You know what? I got a Cam Smith take. There was a couple coyotes roaming around out at Chambers Bay. Cam's a coyote instead of a mangy dog.
They're maybe the mangiest dogs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's the coyote.
That's like dog killer or coyote.
Exactly.
I feel like it almost opens up a full new vertical. So yeah, he's just a type of guy. I feel like he's gonna win a big tournament, and why not this one? Next one, pure heart play. Mr. Mickelson, top 40.
Oh my God.
20 nuggies plus 250. Why the heck not? And then my third single play. We're actually going to the LPGA. They're in Williamsburg, Virginia, this week, and Madeline Sagstrom, who, of course, total homer. We love her. But she finished runner-up in this tournament in 2019. They did not play it in 2020. She's 100-1 this week. So I'm taking plus 10,000. I'm putting 20 nuggies on Madeline to win out in Williamsburg this week. And then 2 parlays. We're coming back to the PGA. I got a kind of one that I'm hoping will hit. I'm taking Cam Smith straight up over Tony Finau. That's minus 110, parlayed with DJ over John Rahm. That's a bit of a flyer, plus 105. So combined plus 292, 25 nuggies on that parlay. And then my last one is just kind of a pure heart play. Guys I want to see do well. We got Spieth over Bryson, JT over Rory, Ricky over Sergio, Colin Morikawa over Patrick Reed, and then Will Zalatoris over Corey Connors. All 5 of those parlayed together is plus 25.86, putting 15 nuggies on that.
Does that add up to 200 or 100? Did you remember we're doing 200 for majors?
No, let's double them all.
Double them all.
I was going to say.
Double them all. Double them all and boost
love
them.
that.
DraftKings.
I love that.
dare you.
Had a feeling I could sense that one was coming. All right, DJ, what do you got?
Yeah, a couple things. Randy, I've got 5 plays, as I always do. I had one guy, I don't know if we really talked about him a ton, Daniel Berger. I know he was a hot pick coming out of a great week. Last week, I got him for a top 20, plus 138, just a comfy one.
You got to wonder if he brought his armada up.
You got to wonder. Yeah,
the fleet.
That's a great point. The Commodore, Daniel Berger, plus 138. I'm putting 30 nuggets on that. Next one is a parlay. I believe 5 matchups. Rom over DJ. I think we talked through that. Hatton over Honest Abe. Despite what the models are saying, I love Tyrrell Hatton. Berger over Webb. Spieth over Bryson, of course, and Randy. I hate to do it. I'm gonna go Sergio over Ricky. That's a real kind of a pillow fight matchup. I think Sergio's coming off 3 straight miscuts. That's I'm weirdly excited to follow that matchup and see how that goes. Rory, I'm gonna hedge all my Rory stuff. I'm gonna pick him to win Group A over all the horses. JT, Rom, DJ, and Bryson. Anytime you get Rory, plus 250, I think that's a good feeling. So I'll put 20 nuggets there, and then 2 winner plays. Of course, Jordan, of course, to win plus 1400. I'm gonna put 100 of my nuggets on that, because I'm going to be so emotionally invested in it anyways. It might as well hit that big payoff. And then my last winner play, of course, is Max Verstappen to win in Monaco, plus 140 to take the Monaco Grand Prix. So 30 nuggets there. Those are my picks.
All right, DraftKings.
Oh, a lot of different directions we can go this week.
Of course.
Randy, I thought about going to Kingsmill. I thought about Angel Yin. Seems to be trending. She's got a decent record here in the past, but I'm not going there. We're going all PGA. Got a parlay to start things out. Joaquin over Hideki, Spieth over Bryson, and Honest Abe over Hatton. We're going 50 nuggies there at plus 561. And then I'm long. I'd like to remind everybody I am long on Joaquin and Sungjae to win this. That was in my season long bets.
I'm long on Hatton as well. That's a good reminder.
And then
disclosing your
of course.
And at some point I'd like to ask, can I have my Spieth funds deposited?
No, we've been over this.
Okay,
get on with it.
Okay, and then I'm going the Wiley Coyote, Cam Smith top 10 plus 400 for 20 nugs. Tommy Fleetwood top 5 plus 1100 for 20 nugs. This feels like a very Tommy Ladd course. I
hope we get to a very Tommy Ladd course soon, because it's been a bummer.
And I got Zalatoris top 10 plus 400, and then I got Big Tone Dog. I like this course for him. He's been a little up and down here of late, but plus 550 for a top 5, 90 nugs.
Whoa!
And then one guy I didn't make a play on it, but I'm gonna get in the pools and do all that. I think Russell Henley, he's plus 225.
Big Charleston guy.
Or sorry, plus.
Yeah,
he's basically 225 to 1 to win, and all the accompanying odds with that. Charleston guy seems to play well on layouts like this, so
that'd be fun. I like Russell Henley.
I do too.
Starting it off with 100 nugget play, top 10 plus 163. Jordan Spliff. All right, that's my big play this week. I cannot foresee a situation where he's not inside the top 10. It's not adding up to a win for me. I don't think he's going to win. Of course, I'll be rooting for that, but it just isn't quite seem like it's there with the putter. But hope to be wrong there. A couple guys, like I said, the data golf models were spitting out, just absolutely loving. Corey Connors for a top 20, 40 nuggets at plus 225. Feel really good about that one.
That's a good bet.
Neil's going to love that play.
He will. I got Keegan Bradley. Unfortunately, TC,
shock.
plus 225 for a top 20 as well. 20 nuggets on that. Played well here in 2012. Of course, nothing happens in between the 9 years, but in between. It's just going straight off of past history at this golf course. Always plays well
I wonder
here.
if he unpacked his suitcase from Kiowa. Might be wearing the same clothes.
Cam Smith, I'm in on him as well for a top 10, 20 nuggets at plus 400. I feel really good about that one. And then my winner, who I think is going to win the tournament, Victor Hovland. 20 nuggets, plus 2,000. Feel really good about all of those, and I am ready for some major championship golf.
He seems like he's going to make the leap here soon, right?
This would make a lot of sense, right? Yeah. I mean, with Morikawa winning last year and just the way he's been trending, this seems like a good venue for that to happen.
I'm a little bit spooked that like the Paspalum, Cam and Leash and those guys are going to want to play it off the ground a little bit more.
Which is tough to
not
do.
Gonna, yeah.
I think they're pros. They'll probably figure that out in the practice round. I have a feeling, but
I know.
who could
Or
say?
they might watch this video. Could have just saved him a number of shots.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Bones is on the bag for Max, and there's rangefinders in play this week. I'm sure that'll be an unnecessary storyline that won't really affect your viewing experience, but I'm sure we'll be hearing plenty of that. But anything else before we wrap up?
I'm a little bit disappointed that Randy didn't pick like a low club pro play or a
Well, if our friends at DraftKings want to make that available on their
stand up that market.
website, I for sure would dabble in that.
Well, I am looking forward to watching some major championship golf. We'll be doing live shows at the end of every round. They'll be available on our YouTube channel. They'll be available live streamed on Twitter, and they'll go on our podcast feed after those are done. And we'll be around on Twitter all week, so get in on the fun there and be super fun and really nice to us, please, because Twitter's been a tough scene lately. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. And if you're listening on the podcast, go check out the rest of this podcast. Will be our quick little hit with Scott Van Pelt, who's on site. And if you're watching on YouTube, head over there, podcast feed, and check that out. Cheers.
Cheers.
Crack on.
All right, SVP, thank you so much for joining us. We were recording this on Monday evening. As I understand it, you got on site today. How did you spend your Monday at Kiowa?
I just made a beeline for the range because when I used to do I'm going way back to Golf Channel days. The best place on a Monday for sure is just the range, just to catch up to people, and then I'm gonna spend most of Tuesday on the golf course, basically 1 to 18. Just to reacquaint myself with the joint because it's been a minute, as they say. But like everybody was on the range, and I'll tell you what was interesting was that, like typically on a day like today, like maybe somebody's seen it. A lot of guys are just showing up. Every person I talked to had played at least 9. Everybody, and I felt that was pretty instructive to the fact that this is a place a lot of dudes aren't familiar with, and it's a place that I don't think you can learn enough about. And clearly, remember the classes we took in college where you just kind of sleep your way through it and just cram the night before the exam? I was pretty much my entire existence at Maryland. This feels like one where guys are in the front row taking notes from the minute class starts. That's the sense I got of it anyway. So had a chance to catch up with a lot of people. The highlight of the day, and you know this because I sent you the picture, I'm standing on the range, and I'm talking to Bones, who's with Max Homa this week, as you know. I look up and I said, oh my God, it's the big rig. Now that's what we call Harry Higgs. So Bones says, do you want to meet him? And I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I'm mentally prepared for this. And Bones is like, just come on. And we go walking over, and I'm like, big rig. And what an absolute beauty Higgs is.
Oh,
I love him. I get a kick out of his whole deal. We talked about the Safeway shirt, collar wide open, shirt kind of half tucked, half not. Did he make a double eagle there?
I think he did, yes. Albatross, the golf purists are going to get all over you for that one. So just to give you a chance to correct yourself there. But
whatever. Yes. Fuck golf Twitter. You know what I mean. It's an albatross. Sarah's in. Okay, we know. The big rig made it 2. How about that?
There we go.
And so my guy Stanford Steve's just like, what's this guy's story? I'm like, I don't know, but I love him. And so we just decided at that point that we loved the rig. And I got a chance to make sure, like he, I guess, said he goes by the Big Beauty. I said, it clearly applies. But he liked Big Rig. We talked some bad beats. We talked some gambling. We talked life. I think he's awesome. He and I both R-rated language leaks into our kind of day to day, I guess you could say it. And I don't know. To me, he's just. I think we can relate to people like him a lot more than we can some of these perfect swings and zillion-dollar dudes. He's one of us, and so it was awesome to meet him and to find out that he gets that. Like we're not having a laugh at the expense. We're saying like I want to sit down and have some Tito's with you, and I know he likes it because he said so on the Twitter.
Well, I wasn't planning to go this direction with you first, but you mentioned Stanford Steed and bad beats, and I sent this to you a couple months ago. When I go back and watch the Abilene Christian bad beat, and I will have to share it. I always forget to share the things I swear I'm going to share in the show notes, but The thing you guys did on the Abilene Christian cover, is that the can you explain that one to us? And is that the number one bad beat in your book?
Well, explain it. How do you explain it? I guess the way I'd say it is some poor bastard out there had Abilene Christian against Virginia plus, I want to say it was 30.
It's 39.5 to my memory. I've watched it a lot of times.
Thank you. And they were down by more than that. And then they got a touchdown, and the touchdown got them within the number. And you're like, they're not going to onside kick it, are they? I mean, they're down by 1 million. And they didn't. They kicked it off deep. Now, the story from the Virginia side goes that there's like 30 seconds left in the game, okay? And the story from the Virginia side goes that the coach called in a play that was right next to kneel down on like their play sheet, but they signaled it in wrong. And so Virginia, from like their own 2-yard line, runs this double pass. And you're like, what in God's name are they doing? And Stanford Steve on the bad, like when we recorded it, he's like, you ever seen number 99 throw it to 36 and then 36 throw it back to 99? Or maybe I'm getting the numbers, maybe it's 99 to 36. Whatever the hell it is, dudes from Virginia are chucking it all over the place in their own end zone.
Up by like 36 points or something.
Right.
Or 38.
And then Abilene Christian, they sack him in the end zone, and it's a safety. And so at that point, Abilene is now, in theory, safe because now they're down by 34. Except you realize what this means if you're a gambler. And what this means is Abilene Christian is getting the ball back after the safety. And they're clearly not content to just let the game end. They're driving the ball down the field. And I say driving, they've got time to make like 3 passes. So now with seconds left in this ridiculous game, Abilene Christian throws a pass and it's picked off, and the man from Virginia returns it 80 yards for a touchdown. As the clock hits zeros, they don't kick the extra point because there's no need to kick it's zeros. And I've left out of the fact that after Abilene scored a late touchdown, their quarterback did this ridiculous celebration which caused them to get like a 15-yard penalty, and they missed the extra point. That point that they missed would come in very handy at the end. It would have meant that they covered. But because of this touchdown on the last play, they lost by 40 points, and you're getting 39.5. Now, the thing about this is you're asking yourself, you're reasonably asking yourself, who in the hell had Abilene Christian plus 39? Nobody. Well, because our viewers are the best viewers, just like your listeners are the best listeners, some poor bastard from Kentucky sent me his bet slip.
Oh, no.
And he had 400 American US dollars on Abilene Christian plus 39.5. And I haven't done this yet, but I saved his address. And my intention is I want to mail him $400 because I feel like he should have that bet like refunded. I haven't done it yet, but like this, hold on. Oh, perfect. Come on in. Dinner has arrived. We're pausing right at the bad beat section of the story. 1 second.
If I may interject with it, the part that just gets me is 67, get on your horse.
Steve single-handedly brought get on your horse back because there's an offensive lineman for Abilene Christian, number 67, who is in hot pursuit on the last play of the game. And when I say hot pursuit, I mean how fast do you think number 67 for Abilene Christian can run? It ain't very fast. And so that's how this dude in Kentucky who mailed me his bet slip lost $400 on Abilene. And
the horse is on him.
Yeah, the horse. Get on your horse. I said the horse is on him. I mean, the reaction. It was so sincere, Solly. Like the people loved it. They loved how pissed I was.
Yes.
But it was so genuine because it's like it didn't happen to me, but it did because anybody that's ever bet has had something like that happen. Only it was just visceral. Like people's because it was so it was so preposterous that anyone would have it, but we all knew someone did, and now I know the guy that did.
That's the best. Well, to our golf listeners that were not interested in that story, I feel bad for you because that's a tremendous, tremendous story, and that's like I gotta remember to put the link to the video in there because it's truly
it's worth watching, even if you
is.
don't bet. But if you're a golf fan, you definitely bet. So we know you do. You don't have
through all of this.
Yeah, I just can't. What have I just watched? But anyway.
Anyways, so heading to Kiowa. I want to know, well, first of all, the hours of programming this week for ESPN, ESPN Plus, and CBS are just insane. You guys are making me have to do a lot of work to watch TV, but
I'm sorry.
Any new, any bells and whistles or anything we should be looking out for this coming week?
We just want to do whatever we did last year at Harding Park when golf Twitter, the hardest people in the world to please, largely thought, hey, this isn't terrible.
Right?
Like people, well, but you know what? We had so many things conspiring in our favor. I mean, we're coming out of a pandemic. It's the first significant championship. It's a West Coast major. It lends itself to you don't have to get up early on the East Coast, and you get to watch it in prime time. And Harding Park was pretty cool. And you had like Talladega. There were like 10 wide coming down into the weekend. It was in many ways we had everything line up for us. But I also do think if I'm going to give ourselves credit, and I know you all in your audience's response would probably be, well, how much credit do you want for showing golf? Because that's your job. You're right. But we kind of tried to hit the ground running and just show as much golf as we could. And that's always going to be our goal. Mike McQuaid, who's our guy in the seat directing it all, does an amazing job of trying to keep it moving. And you're never going to satisfy the golf fan who only wants to see golf shots. We are going to weave in stuff from time to time. But I think, our goal is always how much golf can we squeeze into each segment, each hour, each day. And from 7 a.m. until it's done, we're going to be doing that.
Well, I think also too you're afforded some luxuries when you're on for that many hours in a day, right? I think a lot of the issues, at least I have personally, when stuff happens, is when someone comes on the air for 3 hours and they spend a third of that in commercial and then try to force in some stuff that's not golf related. It's you just want to scream at the TV. But when you sit down to watch something like a major championship and you got some chances to do some storytelling and things like that, I think it kind of brings gravitas to the event, right? And it makes it feel special because it is special, and that's what I said on the earlier half of this podcast. I love when you guys come on just to hear some different voices in golf, and we hear your voice enough on golf throughout the course of the year. It's not truly different, but it's a change of pace from the week to week, and it makes it feel like a big time event. And
I think people know, people in this sport know, like, look, it's like if someone shows up and starts saying like he hit a birdie, they're like, well, who let this joker in the booth? I mean, I think people in the sport know that this is how I got into this business, is covering the game. And, the relationship that David and I have, which goes back to when he was the number one player in the world, it creates for, I hope, for the viewer, a comfortable listen, because it's a very comfortable conversation for us. And, the thing I'm proud of about our group is we don't do it. And we show up, and somehow it ham and eggs, I think, pretty nicely, because we've got a good group. And we also do have, to your point, we got the bandwidth to do all this stuff. We got hours and hours and hours and hours. And so mostly we want to show the golf, give the context, sit next to David is a luxury. This is a guy who I think can truly relate to each player in the field, right? Like, if you're a great amateur, he's been that. If you're an All-American, he's been that. If you're a number one in the world, he's been that. You're a major champ, been that. Been a guy who struggled with his game and had doubt. Done that. Been injured. All of it. Like there's no box on the list of things you could check off that he can't have some sort of an insight to. I enjoy that, and thankfully we'll have Curtis with us on site. We didn't at Harding Park because of where we were in coronavirus situation. So he's on site, and our whole crew is. So it'll be I don't know. I think we're all excited to be here. Like just getting here, you're like, man, this is such a, I don't know if unique's the right word. It's certainly rare. Something that feels this seaside linksy, this much kind of out and back, even though the routing is not a true 9 out, 9 back. You get 9 going each way. And it's just different, and there's the whole die bit. I'm sure you guys have gotten into most of that, the legendary stories about when they built it and his wife's rolling, like whether the fairways are elevated and this and that. There's a million different possibilities of things you could get into from a story perspective. And then dudes are going to go play golf, and you're going to get to talk about it.
Mm-hmm. No, I think as the I say this on Monday evening as the week goes along. We're not very far into the week, but as we've gotten up closer to this event, I keep getting more and more hyped for it. Right, one, because I think a golf course that involves as many people as this one will, it just gets my attention in terms of it's not going to be just straight driving contest. It's not going to look like Winged Foot did at the U.S. Open. It's not going to look like what Bethpage Black did at the PGA a couple years ago. It's I really don't know how to handicap it or who to lean towards. So, you said you're going to do your walk of the golf course tomorrow, and I'm sure you'll have a little more insight once you do that. But from just being on site, kind of seeing the grass type, seeing the winds blowing, did you get any kind of vibe as to where you would be looking at in handicap for handicap purposes?
Well, I will say this. I mean, you go back and you look at the old broadcasts, and you know what it's like is like I've been so lucky to go to so many great golf courses that it's like a movie or a book you read a long time ago. If you've read a million books or seen a million movies since, and someone says, "Remember that movie you saw like in 2000 or whatever?" and you go, "Hold on, I probably lost the plot here." But then as soon as you're like, if you hit play on on Netflix or something, you're like, "Oh, right." Like a whole like 3 that's drivable, and there's a tree right there in the middle. The par 3s are all, I think, a lot of fun. I mean, 17's the most notable, but I think they all ask something of the players. I think the third, which I mentioned a moment ago, and it almost reminds me of Augusta in some ways, the third hole. Not that the green size is the shape is the same size, but just that you could entertain driving it down there. But if you do, what's the risk of that? Like, would you rather lay back it's just so much strategy is involved in the golf course. And so to the point you make, like if you can hammer it, great. Sure, that's always going to help you. But I lean on somebody that's going to have a short game that they really trust. And it's going to have to get you out of trouble. And it's going to, in some cases, give you opportunities to score. But these greens, as elevated as they are and as exposed as they are, unless you're really, really striking the snot out of your ball and you've got every iron exactly right, which in this wind, I don't know how you're going to do that, then you're going to have to really lean on short game. And just one comment that Tony Finau made to me today when I saw him on the range, and this is always, I think it's a good sign just for what it's going to look like on TV. He said, these are the best greens we've seen all year, bar none. And he said, inside 10 feet, I think you're going to see guys make a ton of putts because they're pure and you're going to trust your line. So you're not kind of hitting and hoping. To me, that was something that just caught my attention because he didn't that inside that 10-foot range, like that's the difference in a golf tournament, isn't it? Week in and week out. How many of those do you make?
It's flattish. The greens are flat to begin with, right? Just because with the winds and the way that course plays in general, and there's not crazy contours, there's not crazy slopes. They're going to feed balls towards pins and whatnot. That's a really interesting nugget there. That if it does turn into a bit more of a putting contest, I think that kind of answers. I was trying to get through as many Twitter questions as we had sent through. Finley RUFC 5 said under over of -10 winning score and what's likely to be the hardest hole. I'll just direct that first part at you. And -10 winning score. If you're saying that, if Tony Finau's saying they're going to make a lot of putts from 10 feet and in, that makes me think it's going to be over that or lower than that.
Lower than that, right? I think, but I mean, however, like standing on this range, and it feels a lot like an Open Championship range in that the ocean is in view. It's massive, and the wind is howling directly in your face. Like it feels like you're on, pick a range, Muirfield, wherever, and the wind's just blowing dead in. It also is supposed to perhaps change directions, which, legend has it. What in '91 for the Ryder Cup, it blew one direction for 3 days, and they put a tee in the ground on Friday. Off they went, and it was a completely different direction. For a golf course nobody knew to begin with. So I think that so few people know it well. That if it's totally different once we start, that might make scoring difficult. But like everyone that I talked to today said, look, the downwind holes are a blast, and you can make some scores. And then you turn around, you come into it, and like any of those holes to finish is going to be no bargain. I mean, I think 17 is just so, like it's not just that it's the 17th, as you know, eventually it's the 71st, right? And say you're nursing a one-shot lead on that tee, and say the wind's in. Like Finau told me he hit 4-iron today and hit it perfect, but he said if we'd have been back, he'd have had like a driving iron, and that's Finau. Like what are we talking about if you're like Patrick Reed? What's your club you're pulling on that hole? I just think it's so visually intimidating. And as I say, like that stretch, if it's into the prevailing and it's 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, all into it, Well, any of those holes could be a hole where you make a big number.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, the only major championship experience we have on this golf course was Rory running away and hiding and winning by 8, so we don't have that memory of somebody.